We all love a good mystery, and this world is full of mysteries. So here are 5 that completely blow people's minds, and even today, with all our technology, scientists still have no solid explanation behind any of them. Easily one of the most famous landmarks in our world, the Great Pyramids of Giza. Thousands of people visit each year to see these magnificent pyramids, constructed from stones at the ancient site of Giza in Egypt. Despite years of analysis, no one actually knows how they were constructed, but it's believed they were built over 5,000 years ago. They're built using over 2.3 million blocks of stone and granite, each weighing over 1 ton apiece, and some weighing as much as 40 tons. What baffles people is how they were moved from their place of origin as far as 600 miles away in Aswan and transported to Giza. Maybe on rafts down the Nile during the rainy season, but how did they get them onto the rafts? Wheels hadn't been invented then, so the possibility of a cart transporting them to the rafts can be ruled out. The largest of the 3 pyramids is known as the Great Pyramid, and it's truly an astonishing work of engineering, and this is what most people go to see. It's believed to have been built over a 20-year period. Some believe that it was built by slaves, but this seems to have been disproved. What researchers believe is that the Egyptians somehow got the stones, possibly off the rafts, onto platforms on the sand. A worker would then wet the sand in front of the raft, and other workers would then pull the platform, which would slide on the wet sand. Here is an image that was found in the pyramids which shows workers doing exactly this. There is a man pouring liquid onto the sand, whilst many are dragging the sled. The key was to get the sand just right, so that it does not pile up in front of the sledge as it does in the case of dry sand, and instead create an ice rink style flat surface for the stone to be transported. Research has shown that by wetting the sand, this halves the pulling power required. But then how did they build them up into the pyramid shape? It's completely mind-boggling. There's more aside from how the stones were transported or how the pyramids were constructed that completely confuse experts, such as the fact the pyramids are located on the exact center of the landmass of the Earth. Mathematical formulas and numbers like the constant pi formula were also used to construct the pyramids, but the pi formula had not been discovered until years after. The 3 pyramids in Giza form a Pythagorean triangle whose sides have the proportions 3, 4 and 5. The pyramids are also giant sundials and calendars. The pyramids are also exactly aligned to the north-south axis of the compass, but don't forget the compass hadn't been invented for years after the pyramids were built, so how could the Egyptians possibly have built their pyramids facing the exact magnetic north without even having a compass? The list goes on and on with things that surely would have been impossible to do thousands of years ago. I'm going to do a separate video about 5 mysteries surrounding the pyramids, so keep an eye out for that. But what do you think about them? How do you think they were built to such specific measurements and alignments? Some say they were held by other life forms, but maybe we just underestimate the capabilities of our early humans. The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is currently housed in the Greek National Archaeology Museum in Athens, and is thought to be one of the most complicated antiques in existence. At the beginning of the 20th century, divers off the island of Antikythera came across this clock-like mechanism that was just laying there inside a wrecked cargo ship. It's thought to be nearly 2,000 years old. This device was very thin and made of bronze. It was also mounted in a wooden frame and had more than 2,000 characters inscribed all over it, though nearly 95% of these have been decrypted by experts, but there has been no publication of the full text of the inscriptions. But today it's believed that this instrument was a kind of mechanical analog computer used to calculate the movement of stars and planets in astronomy, which sounds nothing compared to our modern technology, but don't forget this was built in around 87 BC. It's incredible to think how it was made thousands of years ago, but also no one has any idea about why or how it became to be on that sunken cargo ship. The ship was Roman though, and they think the Antikythera mechanism was developed in Greece. One theory suggests that the reason it came to be on that Roman ship could be because the instrument was among the spoils of war loot by the Roman Empire Julius Caesar. Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a prehistoric monument located in Wiltshire, England. Similar to the pyramids, they're believed to have been constructed in around 3000 BC to 2000 BC. Although there is lots of ancient monuments surrounding the area, the main mystery is the stones you see here. It's the same scenario as the pyramids, they just don't know how they got those enormous stones on top of the standing stones. The entire structure is put together like woodwork. Joints and sockets have been carved into the stone, so each stone fits into each other precisely. Stonehenge is also incredible in that it has horizontal stones to form arches. These horizontal stones have been engineered so that they were flat on a sloping site. Just how did they do that? And how did they get the 4-ton stones on top of these horizontal stones? There is also no real evidence of how they transported the stones to Stonehenge. The stones that you see here that were used for the outer ring are called blue stones, and these only existed in one place, Wales, nearly 200 miles away. People think the stones used were transported by water to within a couple of miles of Stonehenge, and then maybe dragged to the site, but this would have taken an enormous amount of manpower. Once at the site, ditches are said to have been dug into which the stones would be sited. The most common theory is that the large earthen ramps would have been erected and the stones toppled over the top into their prepared holes and somehow pulled vertically, perhaps with a primitive A-frames for leverage. But nobody has even today successfully reenacted this feat with the technologies available at the time, nor found any evidence along the way to support this. If you stand next to the stones, you really begin to understand what a task this would be, even with today's technology, let alone thousands of years ago. The case of Benjamin Kyle. This is an unusual one and deserves to be mentioned. In 2004, an approximately 86-year-old man was found naked outside of Burger King in Georgia, America. He wasn't dead, he was unconscious, and would eventually come around in the nearby Memorial Hospital. When he did, he couldn't remember how he'd ended up lying beside the bins, but that was the least of his problems. He was diagnosed with retrograde amnesia, basically meaning he couldn't remember anything, not even his name. The hospital staff put his name as BK on his hospital form, as it's the initials of the place he was found, Burger King. It was later adapted to Benjamin Kyle. He had a feeling his date of birth was the 29th of August 1948, and he had fragment memories of Denver and Indianapolis. He believes he may have had brothers, but has no other family instincts, no family, kids, nothing like that. All investigations by the police and the FBI have turned up nothing. His fingerprints aren't in any database, his face isn't in any missing persons file, and he doesn't even have a social security number. He's basically a blank slate. In a TV interview, he said, "I don't exist, no one is looking for me." There were, however, two people who believe they met him working at a Waffle House in Georgia. This makes a lot of sense to Benjamin, who found that he instinctively knew how to operate the machinery in his new kitchen job, but surely workers there would recognize him from all the news coverage. So maybe he was beaten up and took a blow to the head, causing permanent amnesia. But what are the odds of getting beaten up, getting amnesia, being naked, having no social security number, and have no one looking for you or even recognizing you despite media attention? All that just doesn't add up, so what exactly is going on? And will we ever know the true identity of this mystery man? The out-of-body experience is mind-boggling. Out-of-body experiences are personal experiences during which people feel as if they are perceiving the physical world from a location outside of their physical bodies. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But 10 in every 100 people have an out-of-body experience at least once in their life, and it still continues to blow scientists' minds. There are lots of stories about people who have gotten released from their bodies and are able to look at themselves from the outside, and it seems to happen when they have undergone a near-death experience. They are said to feel no pain or emotion, and what's even crazier is that after their experiences, they are able to describe what they have seen from the outside perception, which they wouldn't have known from their body. There are stories from people who have been pronounced dead in emergency rooms and have said that during their out-of-body experiences, they were aware of conversations going on in separate rooms whilst they were being worked on by the doctor. But how can this be possible? How can you even see yourself from a different angle while still being in your body and record in your memory what's going on from that perspective? You can see why it's unsolved. Although one of the explanations offered is that the person, once in a traumatic state or an altered state of consciousness, are not actually travelling outside of their body, but are imagining it, the way a person will experience a dream but in a much more real impression than normal. The brain is highly complicated and can produce all sorts of images that can seem real. But how do you explain people hearing things and seeing things in different rooms or places they wouldn't be able to do with their real bodies? Some say we are living in a multi-dimensional world, and only during an out-of-body experience can we activate our other dimensional senses. But this is just a theory, of course, and to this day there is no conclusion as to what's going on. If anyone watching this has ever experienced an out-of-body feeling, leave a comment down below of what it was like to have one and what exactly you saw. I hope you've enjoyed the video, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.